Why are there so many different archetype systems? What actually matters? If you have ever looked up how many archetypes exist, you may have noticed something confusing. Different books give different answers. Some mention only a few basic patterns, others list a much larger number. Even therapists and coaches often refer to different systems. This can make the whole topic seem inconsistent at first. But the reason is actually quite simple. Archetype systems are not fixed scientific classifications. They are interpretive frameworks. Each system is designed for a particular purpose. An archetype system is simply a structured way of organizing recurring human patterns. It groups motivations, fears, strengths, and roles into symbolic categories so they become easier to recognize and discuss. It works more like a psychological map than a scientific table, and maps always depend on what you are trying to navigate. A map designed for a city looks very different from a map designed for a hiking trail, even though both describe the same landscape. The same principle applies to archetypes. Some systems are intentionally simple. They focus on a small number of broad patterns so that the ideas remain clear and easy to recognize. Other systems are more detailed. They divide those broader patterns into smaller distinctions, which can create a more nuanced picture of behavior and motivation. This is why the numbers vary so much across different books and approaches. Human behavior does not fit neatly into a limited set of boxes, so any archetype system is best understood as a model rather than a final truth. Different traditions also approach archetypes from different angles. Some frameworks explore deep psychological patterns that influence how people perceive the world and how they behave. Other approaches use archetypes as practical tools, for example in branding or storytelling, where symbolic roles help communicate a message more clearly. There are also narrative-based approaches that treat archetypes almost like characters within larger stories. In these systems, the archetype functions as a symbolic role that people recognize intuitively. The underlying idea remains similar in each case. Archetypes describe recurring human patterns. What changes is the context in which those patterns are used. This is why different systems exist side by side. They are not necessarily competing with each other. Often, they are simply focusing on different aspects of the same psychological landscape. A common question that follows is whether some archetype systems are more valid than others. The answer again depends on purpose. Some frameworks are closely connected to psychological theory. Others were developed as practical tools for coaching, writing, or communication. If someone is working in therapy, psychological coherence becomes important. If someone is building a brand, clarity and recognizable signals matter more. If someone is exploring identity or personal development, what matters most is whether the framework creates useful insight. In that sense, the value of an archetype system lies in what it helps you understand. Instead of asking which system is correct, a more helpful question is, which one helps you see patterns in your own behavior more clearly? A useful system usually has three qualities. The ideas are conceptually clear. The categories are internally consistent. And the framework can be applied to real situations rather than remaining purely theoretical. For example, if a system helps you recognize why you tend to overwork, why you withdraw during conflict, or why you seek constant reassurance in relationships, then it is serving its purpose. If it only provides attractive labels without deeper behavioral insight, it may be more decorative than useful. Archetypes are not rules that people must follow. They are lenses that help us notice patterns we might otherwise overlook. And like any lens, their value depends on what they allow us to see. If you explore different archetype systems and feel overwhelmed by the variety, that reaction is completely normal. The diversity does not mean the field is chaotic. It simply reflects the fact that people are mapping the same human landscape from different perspectives. In the end, the most important question is not how many archetypes exist. The real question is, which map helps you understand your own patterns more clearly?